Welcome to this week's edition of Rugby Unfiltered. I'm your host, Jan de Koning, and with me as always, the very knowledgeable Eugene Elof. Lofi, welcome.
Hi, Jan. Yes, again, welcome after a weekend of rugby and a week of rugby. How great was it to watch rugby on a Tuesday night? Not that that it was really what we wanted or the result we wanted, but I mean there were clear signs, and I think maybe it's a good time as well to talk about the All Blacks playing against the Stormers and playing against the Sharks, and maybe get comments about it, and then maybe we should sort of start thinking of a Springbok side we would pick against that side. And Jan, let's end off with the international junior competition that's currently going on here in South Africa under 18.
Eugene, thank you. Yeah, I think it's very important. So a bit of a review. I mean, you don't want to dwell too much on the two games. Stormers, there's something in both games which I found very interesting. Is that the first half, the South African team was right in the game. And I think in the Stormers game it was 14-all, and then they just fell at the bus. Or the All Blacks picked up the pace. Second half against the Sharks, 14-0 to the All Blacks, and then suddenly in the second half they just blew the Sharks out off the park. And that's a trend. And I think Dave Rennie has some interesting things to say about where his team is.
I mean, we've got the majority of the squad out playing, and so a lot of guys have got good minutes, and more guys tonight. So, yeah, I mean, we're trying to build. The conditions probably made it challenging to shift a lot of ball, but I thought overall we did a pretty good job there, and on the back of a really solid defensive effort. So we got a lot more in us. We can't afford to start games like we have, 2 games here, and so that'll be a focus for us. But I got really positive last 40. Yeah, it's just getting more footy instead of group. So, we've now had 5 games this season, and I think we've got a lot better understanding of the game we're trying to play. We've got a lot more people who have got good time, and so we shared the load a bit, but there's really good competition for spots, and I think that's really important heading into the test in a couple of weeks. If we can be accurate and disciplined, the ball's going to be in play a lot, and we'll be able to apply pressure. But every time you turn it over or give away a penalty, you give the opposition a chance to slow the game down. So I was pleased that that Matt Carling put a bit of pressure on them to set their line out quicker, and rather than taking a minute. So that was good. And there's a couple of times where guys are down with pretty minor injuries that he forced the game to play on, including Damien. So we're really supportive of that. Excellent second half. We're probably a bit frustrated. First 40, just gave away a lot of penalties early. Had struggled to get our hands on the ball, and when we did, we looked good, but just didn't build enough pressure for long enough. So second half was excellent. We kicked really well. We're a lot more clinical and continued to defend well. They obviously kicked a lot of ball, which we generally dealt well with. We've talked a lot about balance. When we kicked, we wanted to either find grass or be contestable. So it wasn't always perfect, but the option taking generally was pretty good. And so, we got a lot of reward from good kicking second half.
Yeah, Jan, it's interesting listening to him, but what I read between the lines, if you also listen about his comments about how they can speak to the referee and they can send so much clips and so on, Dave Rennie wants a quick game. And if you also take in consideration the match last night, once a game was speeded up by them, and they started with their offload game, the Sharks win the trouble. Well, the Sharks win the trouble from the beginning. And I know their idea was just, for them, it's just a great honor to play against the All Blacks and so on. And it's actually scary to know how much youngsters of 20 years played against the senior All Black side. Maybe they should have gone for the 3 points and the 6 points when the early penalties, because it was always going to be difficult to maul against that All Black side. But one thing one should not forget is the All Blacks are pretty used to playing that weather. And the last time Kings Park looked like that was in '95 in the semi-final World Cup against France, with so much water on the surface. And there's something not right with the drainage of that water. But talking about the game, It's not about the Sharks. I think JP Peterson and his coaching staff, they are in preparation for the URC. Great honor to play. It's never nice to have a 0 on your side, but the intent of the All Blacks are clear. And again, I'm going to repeat what I said. Dave Rennie said he liked the fact that the referee speeded the lineouts up. And he speeded everything up, which means they want to speed the game up. And which means we should slow the game down, and so that they cannot get that momentum.
Yeah, Eugene, two things from that clip that we listened to that stood out to me. The one thing that he said, which I see as a warning to the Boks, is they got much more to give. There's a lot more in them. So we'll see against the Bulls on Saturday. That'll be a very interesting thing because the Bulls probably be more on the Stormers level, and probably their pack is probably a better match for the All Blacks, and they've got some decent backs. And then the other thing is that he also said is he made it clear that for them, ball in hand is important. So and you're right. The Springboks are going to have to find a way. Maybe our defense against Argentina is an indication that we are working on our defense and making sure we slow the ball down, slow the game down. And then the last thing that was very interesting is that from the game, not necessarily from Renie's comments, but from the game, is that Ma'a Nonu replied with a haka, and it was awesome to see. I love it when we all, there's so much about the haka, and people say, why do they have to do this dance and whatever? I think it's such a brilliant tradition. There is a way to respond. If you go like Ma'a Nonu did, he went to the All Black team and said, how do I not offend you? And they said to him, you can do the haka by yourself or whatever you want to do. You understand. And Ma'a Nonu understood the haka, and he did a beautiful haka. So maybe I'll find a clip. If I can find a clip, I'll put it in. But it's just brilliant to see that you respond to the haka, and the admiration on those players' face that they get a response, they get the respect. And that's what rugby is about. It's really good tradition and upholding that tradition and the spirit of the game.
Yes, I agree with you, Jan. If there are two things I'd like to add to that, the one sad thing is last night, the pavilion was empty. And I know it's bad weather, it was raining, but I mean, you get the opportunity to see your province or your club, as they call it these days, playing against the international side. I thought that was disappointing. And just to answer your first remark, we should counter. It's very easy how you counter. You don't give them the ball. You keep the ball, you get the ball, you keep the ball away from them. And then, of course, you don't allow them. And that's where your remark made about the defense. You don't allow them to go forward, because if they go forward, which means they're behind your first line of defense, they are a difficult side. And their support play was brilliant last night. And there's a new fly-off coming. Love, I think his surname is Love. He was brilliant last night. I can't understand how he didn't get the man of the match.
Yeah, the important thing is the Stormers showed the way. Their defense lasted for 60 minutes, but then they ran out of gas. They had a couple of injuries. The problem is the Stormers had two very bad injuries last Friday. The scrum off, the starting scrum off went off after 4 minutes. Then they had a 40-year-old guy that went on in his last game, which was his last active rugby game, and he lasted towards the end and late in his second half. He got injured as well, fractured his arm, and then Siyabelo Senatla, a wing, played at scrum half, and they had a loose forward on a wing. So then they just ran out of puff and ran out of defenders. But for that first 60 minutes, the Stormers showed the way that you can contain the All Blacks. That offloading game, you can contain it if you're in their faces and you are physical in defense. So yeah, maybe that's the picture the Boks must look at, the Stormers' defense, not what the Sharks did last night. Not that they a bad team or bad people. It was boys against men, literally boys against men. You spoke about the 20-year-olds in that team. It literally is a bunch of under 20s national players that went on, and they would have learned a lot from it. But it's not a good look on the scoreboard.
Yes, absolutely. And I think one should just ignore the scoreboard, and it's history now, and go forward. And one thing we must see in context as well is that our teams are busy preparing for the URC. And a lot of their players have got niggles and they're not playing them, which makes sense because you don't want to get a serious injury now before the URC. So there's a lot of factors that influence the coaches in picking their sides and so on. And I feel for them because the supporters would like to see the stronger sides, fringe Springbok players and so on. But there's a bigger picture here, Jan. And maybe we should also just have a quick chat about Argentina and the Boks.
Yeah, to me that was and I know Rassie after, because I spoke to him in the press conference. He wasn't a happy chappy, but he's like I said to somebody else, he has the right to differ with me. He doesn't think Argentina is that like the All Blacks, because Argentina also have that offload game. But I think the Springboks showed there that they can cope with that offload game. And to keep Argentina to just 7 points, that says something about the Springboks defense. That wasn't a bad Argentina team. And the Springboks in this series, it's all about winning. It's not about whether you score 10 tries. That's perhaps, to me, is a good indication of the Springboks tactics. They're going to be conservative, and it might reflect in the team that I select a bit later. But they might be conservative, and that way they will choke and throttle and keep the All Blacks in their place and keep them back in their own territory.
Yeah, as we also discussed with the preview of the match, it was never going to be easy there. And that Argentina side was with their backs against the wall that came out firing. So we contained them. And Sasha was not on his best. I think he needs time to just find himself again, get into his rhythm and so on. And Pollard came with one tactical kick that was important time in the match. We didn't give anything away. A lot of our players came back from injury. So what you take from that, you take the win, it's a away win, and you regroup from that. And I'm sure we're going to regroup great from that and take a lot from that. And now this competition starts. And I mean, this is the rivalry everybody's been waiting for, the Boks against the All Blacks.
Yeah. Before we move on to selecting our team, Eugene, I think there's an interesting thing I just want to share with the viewers. Is Jamie Joseph. Everybody will remember him or know him as a guy who stood against Dave Rennie for the All Black coaching position. He lost out in that race because it was the two of them were the shortlist, the final shortlist, and Dave Rennie got the job. But Jamie Joseph and Tony Brown is great mates, and we all know that Tony Brown's going after 27, after next year, after the World Cup, he's going back to New Zealand. So he'll meet up with Jamie Joseph again. But Jamie Joseph had some very interesting stuff to say about South Africa and touring in South Africa. And, he's very complimentary, but complimentary in a typical New Zealand way, talking about how brutal we are and how nice people we are off the field, but how difficult we are on the field. So maybe let's listen quickly to Jamie Joseph and his compliments to South African rugby.
On one hand, it's a mecca for a rugby player, and so people think New Zealand is rugby mad. I always felt that South Africa is another level, and so like for our All Black rugby player, playing in that country is the ultimate. They do everything they can to make you feel welcome, and then they do everything that you can as a rugby player to make it as hard as possible to win the test match. And all the stories, all the fairy tales that you hear, fairy tales, they're all true. I've been part of teams that have experienced a lot of those things. I guess looking back at that, you just think it's the ultimate gamemanship from their point of view. And they'll do anything they can to win. So I'm looking forward to watching a few of our boys up there stepping up, guys like Josh, Jim, Fabian back to rugby with Gruder, and I'm looking forward to the challenge and then the many stories that will come out of the tour.
Eugene, that was very interesting, but I think now it's time to select a team. The favourite pastime of South Africa is to select Springbok teams, and let's see how close we get to Rassie's team, or at the very least, I'm going to select a team I think would be able to beat the All Blacks. Might not necessarily be the select. A lot of people get upset when you select a certain wing or a certain fly-off but let's have a go at it. So shall we start at number 15? How's that sound?
Yes, Jan, I will go with you. And then when we finished, we just picked the starting lineup because there are too many guys for the bench. All the guys are there. We pick the first 15, and then we pick the captain after that. So you go. If I differ from you, I will come in.
I think we start. I know that Fassie and Damian Willems are the two leading fullbacks. For this type of game, All Blacks, Fassie is a very talented player, but he's erratic. So you want somebody steady with a calm head that's played at the highest level under pressure at a World Cup. So I would go with Damian Willemse at 15.
Yes, I agree with you. And Fassi also coming back from injury, a long injury. I agree with you, Damien.
At 14, I would definitely have Jason Colby, no argument.
Got you?
Okay. 13, Jesse Kriel.
Agree.
12. I'm so tempted to put Andre Esres in there, but I know Rassie will put Damien de Allende there. And I know why Damien, because him and Jesse makes a very good combination. They understand each other, the longest serving Springbok centre pairing in history. So I'm going to go Damien de Allende.
I agree with you. And also remember that Andre Esreisen's got a different role as well with being a hybrid. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you're right. That's probably why he's going to come off the bench, because he can play. Now that he's got a number 8, he's been training at number 8 as well. So, he's there as much as a number 8, as a flank. And he's so tall, he might even play at lock, although I don't think he's ever practiced at lock. So, yeah, he's definitely a bench role. Right wing. So, yeah, we go
to the left wing.
Left wing. Apologies, man. Apologies. Left wing. I'm tempted to put Moody there, even though he plays a lot at centre. I think he's covered at centre, but yeah. I don't know if Moody, we need somebody with a high ball and somebody that's strong. So I might pick Moody on the left wing.
Yeah, I will leave Moody on the bench because he covers a few positions. I'll go for, is it Edwill van der Merwe?
Yeah, Edwill did very well against Argentina. Not a bad call. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting, because I know that a lot of people don't like it when I do this. But given that Sasha didn't have the best game and that he's still a bit rusty, and even by Rassie's standards, Rassie said, he was rusty and he didn't have his best game. I would go for the first test, at the very least for the first test, I would go with Handré Pollard, because he showed when he came on how calm he can be. And even when he went to centre, he just directs, and his kicking in that game was also, you can see Pollard knows there's a big game coming up, and he's just took his game to another level again.
Yeah, I agree. I will also go for Pollard. He's steady. I know a lot of people will criticize him for being conservative, but I think against New Zealand, we need to be more conservative. He's got a level head. He's played under those pressures. He's won World Cups kicking. So I'd go for Pollard as well. Who's your 9?
I think Grant will start at 9. I would like to start with Kobus, but we know that Kobus is going to be on the bench in any event, because, again, there's somebody who covers several positions. So, there's a good chance Rassie is going to go for a 6-2 bench. So, there might even be a 5-3 with Andre Esreisen covering forwards and backs. So, Grant will be on the bench. So, it's probably, Kobus will be on the bench. So, probably Grant.
I'll go for Grant as well. I think Grant is currently one of the top scrum-halves in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 8 would definitely be Jasper Wiese, no doubt. Rassie has made no bones about the fact that he rates Jasper as his best number 8.
I agree. And Cameron was brilliant in Argentina, and he's made his mark. And again, Cameron can cover 6, 7, and 8 for us. So, yeah, well done on the boy's eye boy. They did so well there in Argentina. I've been waiting for him because he's a great player. But I agree with Jasper.
Yeah. Peter Steff on the number 7 flank, without a doubt.
I agree.
6 would be, I think, Sia. Depends on Sia's hamstring. Given that he's had problems with his hamstrings recently, I don't think Sia is going to make the cut for the first test. Then I would go for. We need a breakdown. Paul de Villiers.
Paul de Villiers, brother. He's made his mark. He's a youngster, and the whole world knows about him. That's his position. If Sia's not right.
Yeah. Locks definitely Louet and Eben as a combination, and we'll have we'll have at least 2 locks on the bench as well, because Kobus Wiese and Ruan Nortje will be on the bench. So yeah, Eben and Louet and Eben to start.
I would go with Eben, and I put Louet on the bench for the beginning, and go with, it will be Eben and Ruan to start with. I will start with that combination.
Yeah. Front row, obviously Ox is still injured, so we're probably going to go with the Bulls, tight head will be Tank,
The
Thomas de Twee.
It could be. Thomas battled last week, so I think they're going to go with. I think they're going to go with Wilco Low to get Wilco's on form now. So Thomas again can cover loose head and tight head.
Yeah, Malcolm Marx starting every day of the week and twice on the Sunday.
Yes, and I'm concerned about the backup for Malcolm, but we can talk about that. And your loose head?
Ooh, Bulls number 1.
Steenekamp?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'll go with him. Go with Steenekamp. He's settled very nicely in that position. We know Ox is still injured, so that's the starting 15 for me. And then Marco on the bench because he can cover hooker and loose forward. We'll have Loot and Kobus Wiese on the bench.
Who's your captain? Mine is Pieter Steff.
Yeah, I think he did well enough in the July internationals to be captain. He probably will be. I mean, Jesse has also been captain, but I think it definitely will be Pieter Steff. Yeah.
And I think regarding Marco, I think with Dion being called up, it's going to be between Dion and Marco who's going to cover that position because both of them are fetchers and both can play hooker. Dion actually played hooker for me under 19 level. So yeah, I thought Dion played exceptionally well last week for the Stormers. So that's why we got such a big bench. Let's carry on. If we go to 9, I'm going to Cobus Reinach.
Yeah, definitely Cobus Reinach, and then Kainan Moody is then the other one on the bench. And then Andre Estre, Andre Estre is a utility. Marco is a utility. We got 2 locks. So Loot and Kobus Wiese.
Yeah.
And then the full front row. So Grobler will be the hooker. Tight head will be Thomas and
Thomas can cover both positions.
Yeah, you got to name 3 front rows, so we got to find a regular loose head. Jan Hendrik. Jan Hendrik will.
Jan Hendrik, yeah.
So he covers. So we got 3 players covering 2 players in the loose on the bench that can cover hooker. So yeah.
Now we waxed. I think out of that team, we'll definitely pick a team. Have a team that can take on the All Blacks and that can scrum the All Blacks. They have not been tested there yet.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, there we have our team. Eugene, I think a lot of people will disagree with us, but they're welcome to send us a comment and give their meaning and select their teams. It's like I said, it's fun. It's our favorite pastime. But Eugene, I think it's been an interesting discussion, but maybe there's another international tournament. I know everybody's so concerned about the All Blacks and the greatest rivalry, but South Africa's under 18 team is doing really well at the moment.
Yes, Jan, the competition, it's very low key. They are broadcasting it. The first round of matches was in Durbanville, and the second round yesterday was here at Boland Landbou, and I think the third round could be, I could be wrong, at Paul Roos. But again, not going into the matches, it's just shown how strong South African junior rugby is, because our A team and our BOK team, the junior under 18s and the 18, which is like the B side, won both their matches. And teams that are there as well as Georgia, France, England, and Ireland. And our third game, I guess, will be against England, which is physically big, but I cannot see them making an impression. I'm telling you, we got such good youth. And the guys should go watch that match. If it's televised, watch it. If you're close by, go watch, because it's really great to see these boys play, to see that the golden line is going through from our juniors up to our seniors. You know, the way they scrum, they're in the game, their ball skills, but they're still young. They're like Jack Russells. They will chase everything. But it's just great to see them play and the talent we have.
Well, Eugene, I think that's a good note to end up on. And we've spoken a lot about our strength and depth, and especially our junior rugby and the pipeline that's producing a conveyor belt that's producing Springboks. So maybe that's a good note to end on, and then we'll talk after Saturday's Bulls game next week. We'll have a reach out to our New Zealand expert, Adrian, and see if he is willing. I'm just going to find a time to get him on the podcast, and then we'll chat Test rugby next week.
Okay, Jan, great, and have a great week. Enjoy the rugby this weekend, and it's getting very exciting, the build up to the test.
Yeah, from myself, Jan de Koning, till next week, enjoy the rugby.
Cheers.